So the way I would recommend doing this is either do it sitting down with the Godox in your lap, or just loosen up these side rails so that they turn vertical. And we're just going to put this thing kind of like this. And we'll just screw in the bottom thread to the bottom thread of the Godox. We'll have to turn this over so that this top thing is facing down. It's a pain in the butt, but you'll understand why. This dangling clamp has to be in the front of the Godox, right? So what I'm going to do is these legs I'll put flat like this. And I'll just screw in the Godox on the bottom here. Be very careful not to bust the darn thing. Make sure the washers are in place. I'm being very clumsy here. Get out your trusty screwdriver. Just screw in the rest of the way. Not too tight, but firm, right? And then put your legs down like this so we can stand the Godox up like this, and then we can put our camera back on, right? So let's put these legs up like this, tighten them into place so that they're horizontal. And let's make sure the Godox is straight like that. That'll work. Right. Yeah. Now this upper clamp thing here is going to go through this piece of metal at the top. Let me see if I can see that. So maybe you can't see it on the video, but on the Godox there's this black bar here. And you're going to put a screw, that's this guy, through it so that it screws tightly onto this clamp, so everything is nice and firm. So there's a nut on the back here on this screw that I'm going to loosen up to remove the screw. Right? It's just the screw and the nut. And let's see how well we can do this. Can loosen up this wing nut at the top to give a little bit of space so that we can then put the Godox in place and attach it nicely. Might be a little pain in the butt, or you might need to raise the bar. Sometimes you might need to put the bar behind the black bar from the Godox, and then you would just take your screw. Actually, put the screw through the front of both of them and fit the nut around that screw. And just screw the nut on there. It's as easy as that, right? So there's a little bit of play right there. All you have to do is just tighten everything up at that point, right? So, yeah. Easiest way to do it is kind of hold. I would recommend just raising the bar up high, holding the nut, and then just screwing that thing in so it's nice and taut. Doesn't have to be super tight. And then let's just straighten this thing out. Adjust the top rails so everything is straight. Make sure the Godox is straight. Tighten. And you're good to go. That thing is pretty, it's on there, man. You can just kind of like move that around nice and taut. It's good. And then it's just a matter of putting your camera on the thread. Here's my Nikon. We can do that real quick. Make sure the lens goes straight through the hole. And then just screw that thing on real good. align it so it's not turned and make sure it's straight in there. That looks cool. Look good from this end. You might need to raise the platform a little higher using these so that your lens comes straight in the middle of that hole, so it's nice and perfect, right? You'll also want to take your remote shutter. Get this guy out of the way real quick. Take your remote shutter and just kind of wind it around the top, and then just plug it into the side of your camera or whatever, wherever it is. And then just mount the shutter release on the side so that when you hold this thing, you can't even see. When you hold this thing, your hand is right where the button is. And you're just gripping this entire cage. And it's very easy to hold, it's very comfortable, especially when you've been scanning for a long time. Also, these feet are really handy when you have had a long day and you just want to put the thing down. The camera never touches the ground, always the PVC. One thing to make sure of is to get real close. These little these washers, just tighten those nuts to make sure that the legs don't rotate on you. That's all you got to do. Tighten, make it nice and tight, and you're good to go. That's basically it. Just hold this thing and start shooting.